Atlanta News First Plus starts now.
Good morning and welcome to Atlanta News First, ANF Plus. I'm Rick Fulbaum, and we want to get you caught up on some of the headlines that are making news on this Monday morning and also get you the forecast. Rodney will be here in just a sec with your full forecast for this week ahead, another new work week. But first, we want to get you caught up on a story that has to do with really a case that we've been following for the last 5 years or so, and this has to do with the death of an eight-year-old girl named Sequoia Turner, and the trial for a man accused of killing her during protests that were held in Atlanta during the summer of 2020. That trial is set to start today. Prosecutors say that Julian Connolly shot the gun that killed the 8-year-old. She and her mother, just to refresh your memory, were driving in their car. They were driving by a Wendy's restaurant that had been burned down during the protests. These protests sparked by the killing of Rayshard Brooks at the hands of police. Connolly has pleaded not guilty, and Turner's family is looking for justice, of course. He does have a co-defendant, Jerrion McKinney, who was convicted just last week on aggravated assault, gang, and gun-related charges. He is not the person who police say pulled the trigger. That is the gentleman that's going on trial today, Connolly. But again, McKinney was sentenced to 40 years, half of which to be served in prison. So that's one story we're following for you. Another one has to do with public health. And this morning, we've been told that a Georgia State University student has tested positive for the measles. And this is the 7th case of measles in Georgia so far this year. The Georgia Department of Public Health says that the student did not have the measles vaccine, which is a very important part of this story. Measles is highly contagious. It can spread when an infected person sneezes or coughs. Health officials say the student may have exposed others at a couple of different locations. So listen up. This is between September 2nd and 11th. Georgia State's Adderhold Learning Building and Langdale Hall, Sweet Green Restaurant at Ponce City Market, and also the Inter-Atlanta FC Youth Soccer games and practices. If you were at in any of those locations or any of those events between September 2nd and the 11th, you should monitor any potential symptoms that you might come down with. And we spoke with a doctor who actually told us that vaccine rates are declining, and that's a major cause of concern, he says, because the measles is so contagious, and having a large unvaccinated population really puts everybody at risk. The Department of Public Health says that it's working with Georgia State University and the other locations to notify people who may have been exposed. So again, a story worth keeping your eye on, and the bottom line here, another reason to get yourself and your children vaccinated. Very important for public health. Finally, a story that I know a lot of you who spend a lot of time on social media are following, and this has to do with TikTok. And we were told this morning that a framework for a deal has been reached for the ownership of TikTok to be sold to a different company. We don't know which company, but this is news that's coming to us. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been in talks with the U.S. Between the U.S. and China that took place over the weekend in Spain, and so in addition to talking about tariffs, they also talked about TikTok. President Trump then posted on social media that a meeting went well and that a deal had been reached regarding, quote, a certain company that young people in the U.S. very much wanted to save. And of course, all speculation is that he's referring to TikTok, which was a law was passed here in the U.S. to ban TikTok if it wasn't sold from its current owner, ByteDance, which is a Chinese-based company, to a different owner here in the U.S. That law was signed into law last year, and since then, President Trump has postponed the deadline for that sale to take place about 4 times. So again, it seems as though there is a deal reached. But again, we'll wait for official word on the future of TikTok. So those are some of the headlines that we're following today. Of course, there's a lot more news to talk about. You can find that right here throughout the day here on ANF Plus. We also want to check in, as I said, with Rodney Harris, because we know that a lot of you care about the weather as well. So here's Rodney with your full forecast.
Happy Monday to you, everybody. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Rodney Harris. So it'll be another day with highs back in the upper 80s. Yesterday's high was 87 degrees in Atlanta. We're back up to 87 again today. Temperatures dropping into the 70s later on this evening. So feeling about the same today as it felt yesterday. Now, we do have some changes in your forecast. Last week, I talked about the potential of a low developing off the southeast U.S. coast. That's actually happened. There's a low just east of the Carolinas and Virginia. Here's the thing. This will not be a tropical low. However, it is still producing rain, and the moisture associated with this low is moving counterclockwise, and it will impact east and northeast Georgia at least through Wednesday. So our rain chances won't be terribly high because you need to get closer to the low, but we will increase those rain chances just a little bit over the next couple of days to account for that low. So for today, it'll actually be mostly sunny. However, if you are in northeast Georgia, you will see a few showers this evening. The coverage is only 10% because it's a small part of North Georgia, but basically the northeast Georgia mountains this evening and going into tonight, a spotty shower or two will be possible. And then that moisture shield will move a little bit further south and west on Tuesday. So there's a 20% chance of a spotty shower just about everywhere in North Georgia for Tuesday afternoon. So if you're driving home from work, even in metro Atlanta, don't be surprised if you see a spotty shower or two. This simply isn't much rain, but we haven't seen a lot of rain over the past several weeks, so we'll take anything that we can get. That's what you'll see in the 7-day forecast. 87 today, a 10% chance of a shower in the mountains. It's very low end. And then for Tuesday, 20% chance of a shower just about anywhere in North Georgia with the high of 86. Same forecast for Wednesday. After Wednesday, that low pressure will start moving away from the U.S. and high pressure will build in. So Thursday and Friday will definitely be dry and hotter with highs in the low 90s. And then temperatures are staying in the upper 80s to low 90s over the weekend with a slight chance of rain. We'll keep you up to date on this forecast. First Alert Meteorologist Ella Dorsey, she'll have an update for you on Atlanta News First at noon. You can always find the forecast in the First Alert Weather app. We hope you guys have an amazing Monday, and until next time, we'll see you soon.
Thank you for watching ANF Plus. For more breaking news, live coverage, and your community stories, download the Atlanta News First app. You can also watch us on YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. To join the conversation on YouTube Live, visit our channel and hit subscribe. You can also listen to the Atlanta News First podcast by searching Atlanta News First on your preferred listening platform.